Hi, I'm KT, and this is a SPAMF that I just put the Vanguard aluminum barrel and pusher into. It is so cool. I'm going to show you what's awesome about it. So Gavinfuzzy's SPAMF has been a super popular sort of sidearm, even primary. You can get add-ons to it that other people have made that make it into a grip prime and all these other modifications you can do to it. It's very popular. I made one kind of early on as one of my first sort of like kit-built DIY projects. You take a Falconfire, you put these really finely made 3D printed parts from Gavin on to that. You can upgrade the spring. Mine has an upgraded spring, but I keep the old spring around so I can swap it down to kid-friendly or HVZ numbers. And it was great, but the plastic barrel that it came with doesn't really grip darts very effectively. So if you prime it and then you're moving it around and swinging it around, or even try to holster it, darts will just kind of fall out of the barrel. It also, the original 3D printed pusher doesn't let you put a magazine in, which is pretty typical for blasters like this. But the Vanguard pusher has this narrow profile that allows you to put in a magazine even while it's primed, while the slider is in the front position, and makes it much easier to operate, makes it much quicker. You can be primed and moving around. Note that you're low on ammo, swap magazines while keeping it primed so you don't have to do the deprime motion. There's a slight FPS boost, not a lot, but really that's not why you do this. The fact that the darts stay in the barrel when it's primed, and the fact that you can swap magazines while it's primed is just awesome. So let's get into how we do the installation. It's very straightforward. It's a straight swap, but we'll just go through it real quick. So anyone that has a SPAMF already knows, because you had to assemble it yourself, that it's all just regular screws. It's quite easy to assemble and disassemble. Doesn't even really matter what order you do things in. All the screws on the 3D printed part of the SPAMF are the same, and all of the screws on the Nerf parts are the same as themselves, and they're basic Nerf screws. So even getting them mixed up is not that big of a deal, as long as you're sort of paying attention to the difference between the plastic fill screws and the machine screws that came with the SPAMF kit. They're basically the same thing, or they're not the same thing, and they're pretty easy to tell apart if you're paying attention. There's all the grip parts that do have to come off just so you can get the blaster open. Here's the priming grip. This is the last Nerf screw here. We can get this part out. So, this part doesn't want to come off. There we go. All right. Okay. So, there goes part of our trigger mechanism, but I'm not worried about that right now. This is the first piece we want to take out and switch out, and it's a 1-for-1 replacement. It looks exactly the same. These screws are actually the same as the body screws from Nerf, but I'll keep them separate anyway. Here's the upgraded spring. You can see that actually the coil spacing is wider. Alright, here's our pusher. You can see that the form of it is the same. The shapes of the two pushers are the same. It's literally just a metal part. We're going to pop this in here. Nope, that is not going to work. So the O-rings that came with this, there's a chance that they do not fit. So we're going to go ahead and steal the O-ring off of the 3D printed part. Going to add a little bit of lube onto this. This is a moving part, but not onto this because we're looking for an air seal, not movement. And then it's going to go back in here. Actually, doesn't matter which way that's facing when it goes in, because it will wind up getting turned around as needed later. Hold this down with my thumb while I screw these screws back in. Oops. Okay, we'll deal with that in a minute. I want to deal with this. I haven't actually taken this part apart. This comes shipped all together when you get the SPAMF kit the first time. So it looks like this has a different screw type holding the front nose of the blaster on. Oh, that just comes off. Okay, it looks like I do need to do something to push this out or grab it and pull it out. I don't, oop, haha, simple enough. So there's the original barrel, clear plastic. We're just gonna, seems to be identical on both ends. So we're just gonna pop that in there. So we lose the exterior view, but we gain a much better seal, at least in theory. So now we just put this back together. Looks like, there we go. There we go. So pop these screws back in. Now the next thing to do is put the firing mechanism back together, and I have to, it goes this way. There we go. Okay, so that goes there. This is the part that we have to line up the way that it was before. which I always kind of forget. Oh, there we go. This goes like this. This is that catch goes inside there, that pin. Hello, spring. Let's try that again. Does like to fly. Okay, there we go. So that's all in place. Once this is kind of settled in. Nice, nice. And then this is the piece that will attach to this part of the inside of the priming grip. So from there, we just need to get this locked in and the upper half placed back on. And then it's all putting screws back in from that point. Again, we have the machine screws for the machine screwed parts, and they should still have their screws and spacers on the other side. There's one. Here is two. Here is three. Great, and then we have the Nerf screws that go into plastic rather than into metal spacers. We have one on the body itself. Then we put the, oh, I always do this. I always like get this all turned around every time I do this. It goes like this. And then this side, oops, one of my machine screws fell back out, so I clearly did not get it seated correctly. We'll go back and fix that. We've got one, oops. Come back. We have two. We have three. Four. Okay, let's figure out what machine screw fell out. Fix that. It's the one back here. This is the one that's kind of funky. It has a longer spacer than the others. Sometimes you kind of have to squeeze the blaster together to make sure it's actually taking hold. Sometimes you have to tighten the other side too. Okay, and so now all we have left is the grip, the priming grip up top, which takes two Nerf screws. Come on now. And so this is a new fit because we're fitting this onto a metal part for the first time. All right, the non-labeled side, Nerf's classic paint on one side, it took fine, but the labeled side is having a problem. And I see what it is, but I think we're fine. Okay. Yeah, we're good. Okay, I think screw tightening will close the gap here. So we've got one. This is kind of the important one that will hopefully close that gap there. Nice. And two. Now theoretically I could have lubricated this slide, but that's something I'll go back and do after I've played with it a little bit and kind of decide where that may or may not be necessary. So, slides and moves nice and fine. Feels good. Let's of course, course, the real moment of truth. Whoop. There we go. Much tighter fit. Really doesn't want to come out of there. Very slight movement, but way, way, way better. Yeah, no issues with firing. Immediate improvement in my mind. It feels way better. Let me put it over the chronograph, get some numbers. We'll compare them to the numbers from before we did the modification. This isn't really a mod for numbers in my mind. We're definitely supposed to get a better seal out of this and should get an FPS boost. But mostly I want the functionality of just having it be a more solid piece. But let's see what that looks like. So there you have it. This is my first shot at one of these quick sort of workshop, workbench, tutorial-ish sort of videos. If you like this, hit the like button. If you don't like it, hit the dislike button. Whatever. I'd love to have you subscribe and come back and see more. I talk a lot about nerfing as a parent. I'm talking more and more about mods, and I'm going to be doing some stuff of my own at some point. Yeah, we have a good time. I also stream music on Twitch, and I have a music YouTube. You can find the link to that down in the description. And I hope to see you around. Thanks a lot.